Good day to you, one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. Do you like the way I adjusted the microphone in quite a seductive way? Today, I'm going to be looking at this video. It's another one of those clips that I often react to from some of Joe Rogan's conversations that he has with folks when they pertain to the music trade and the experience of being a musician. And the subject that he's talked about recently is something that we touched on in a long-form episode that we're going to be releasing in the next couple of weeks, I think. So anyway, this is about the relationship between drugs and creativity. Is it necessary for one to be fucked up, or can you just do music without all that stuff? Why is it sex, drugs and rock and roll? Can't we just have the sex and the rock and roll? Justin Hawkins rides again, or just the rock and roll, maybe, I don't know. Again.
You got Pink Floyd, you got The Who. Yeah. When you think about the Beatles, obviously.
AC/DC.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got all...
What's he talking about AC/DC for, eh? What's he talking about AC/DC for? AC/DC never done no job. Well, I suppose Bon Scott was a law unto himself in those respects, but I do understand that Angus Young had a couple of drinks on his 18th birthday when he was of the legal age to do so. Had a really horrible time. He was probably drinking peach snaps or Sambuca or something like that, and then just vomited everywhere and didn't drink anymore ever again. So he learnt a valuable lesson on his 18th birthday. I wasn't ready to learn that lesson at that time, but I have since learnt it. Yeah.
I get it that it's bad for you, but I think it can't be a coincidence that so many people that love heroin made amazing music.
This is brilliant. So it's one of the things that I sometimes talk about, and it's a really difficult area because even like a cautionary tale like Trainspotting, that movie with Ewan McGregor wearing like a tight t-shirt and looking all sexy. Well, there's no question that glamorized heroin. There's no question. It made it cool. I mean, maybe it already was cool. I think that's what Joe Rogan is talking about there. But I mean, how can anybody... That's one of those opinions that you just can't hold publicly. It's a really dangerous area. The thing about heroin, I think, is that you can take more or less any other drug in the world, and then it gets to heroin and the buck stops, and that's it. Then you're just going to be doing heroin probably for the rest of your life. I mean, statistically, probably for the rest of your life. It's the sort of thing that you just can't dabble with. And then you got people saying that it's good for your music. It's like, well, I'm having a bit of a difficult time finishing the chorus for this number, and I'll take some heroin. And then I think 2 days later you go, what chorus? I don't know if it is that. I don't know if you can see it as a tool, to sort of unlock some kind of, I don't know, what's it called? Writer's block. Yeah, I had a block on that. But I think it is true to say that there's something in, a lot of people, widely regarded as the greatest album ever recorded, certainly by myself and the preeminent Irish journalist Pat Carty. We both agree that Exile on Main Street is one of the greatest albums ever recorded, if not the best. And that was definitely composed and recorded whilst there was heroin around. From every anecdote that you hear about that period in the Rolling Stones' career. And they were making the best stuff. Joe Rogan, I think, is asking whether that's a coincidence. But I think, isn't it culturally, there's, at the end of the 60s, didn't we have like marijuana and LSD and all those things that were making people perceive each other and the world in a totally different way? And then heroin came along and just made it all really fucking dark. In a good way for music. In a way for music. It can't all be tambourines and dancing around the maypole, can it? Can it? God, it's a really difficult area. This is really challenging.
A lot of people, yeah, look at Lou Reed. Any of them who got into heroin, their music stopped.
Lou Reed was always...
Even Hendrix and Jim Morrison, a lot of the songs that Hendrix was writing, I mean, he died at 27.
Yeah.
So that was a relatively, his musical development, I think, was done less with, maybe psychedelics, but I don't think heroin played a factor until later on in his life.
Well, I think that's reinforcing my earlier point about the way heroin, if we're, I mean, at least, just, do you mind if I just apply a little bit of this? Oh, it's ever so sore around there. It's so cold outside and so hot inside. My lips don't know whether they're coming or going, I'm telling you. Anyway, it's just good to keep them moisturised, I think. Do you know what I mean by that? Yeah, he's reinforcing the point that heroin wasn't part of Jimi Hendrix's modus operandi until the later part, when his creativity had all but stopped. I don't even know if that's true, really. He was only fucking 27. He was just starting. But I do think that's the drug that you normally settle on, because it's a bit difficult to. It's very Moorish. Let's put it that way.
I don't.
By that time, he was already so famous. He had already written those songs that got him there,
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know when he started using heroin or why.
Yeah. I don't think heroin makes you more artistic or more successful.
But there's a period in the 70s when music just became darker. And I think it was informed partly by that heroin culture, maybe? I don't know. But what about alcohol music? Alcohol's everywhere. And just imagine, if alcohol was invented today, would it be legal? No.
But I think what happens is you have very talented people that have a substance abuse problem. That's what Stephen King said. He said, I'm a great writer, but I don't remember writing Cujo.
Yeah.
My alcohol didn't make me a better writer. I'm a really imaginative, talented writer who happens to have a substance abuse problem.
Is that what Stephen King said? I love Stephen King. Okay, I think every drug you do, depending on who you are, will either inhibit your instincts or double down on them, strengthen your resolve to say the thing that's in your brain. I think it affects people differently. Like if you're on heroin, I think there's a bleakness to it, there's a longing and there's a despair, and then it's gonna, like, you're probably going to write lyrics, for example, that are euphemistically talking about needing things and needing, that sort of withdrawal, and you'd be able to turn that into an emotion that you can apply to love songs or anything. I mean, that's what happened with the Stones. Anyway, it's like everything's just like talking about this seedy underworld. There's love stories in it, and there's all this, I don't know, there's longing and there's pain as well. The pain of withdrawal and anything that's sort of dreamlike, or there's no contentment in it anyway. It's all tension. I think that's a good observation by Joe Rogan. My personal favourite part of, like, I think if you listen to the Pink Floyd oeuvre, the really early parts, the Syd Barrett years, which are influenced by things like Madness and LSD and all that sort of stuff. I really love that, because it's basically surrealism. Some of it, anyway. I've got a bike, you can ride it if you like. It's got a basket, a bell with rings and things to make it look good. I'd give it to you if I could, but I borrowed it. You're the type of girl that fits in with my world. I'll give you anything, everything, if you want things. To comfortably numb. How do you get from that to that? I think it's possible. You could argue that the type of drugs that they were taking changed, or at least in different quantities. Maybe you can chart, when you take a piece of someone's hair and then you analyse it and you can see all the chemicals in it over the years throughout the duration of that hair's life as part of an act, as an extension of an active follicle. Maybe that's what your musical journey is like as well. You can hear a sober record, you can hear a drunk record, you can hear a cocaine record, you can hear a heroin record, you can hear a grass record, and you can definitely hear an LSD record. You can hear them a mile away. It's really interesting stuff. But I don't think it's fair to say that drugs make you more creative. I think what they do is they colour the exact type of creativity that you're inclined to produce, really. Could it be that? fuck, I don't know. Use the comment section. This is a difficult area for me because I've been sober for a long time, and the idea of associating drugs with creativity is challenging. God, that's really. I don't know what to say about that because, you know, how can I sit here and say, oh yeah, you should do drugs, kids, because it's absolutely brilliant? That's definitely not the truth. You know, this is a difficult area. You're going to have to use the comment section below to discuss this one. Do you think that drugs inform creativity? Do you think that they promote creativity? Do you think that different drugs affect you and affect your music in different ways? If so, what is the best kind of music? Is sober music a nicer thing to listen to than stoned music? Does stoned music only connect with you if you're stoned yourself? What about heroin music? We can't all be on heroin to enjoy it. So what is it about using heroin that informs some of the most extraordinary albums of our favourite bands' careers? Oh God, this is really difficult. I think we probably need some science folk to look at this because and they used to say that like, when you drink wine, there was like a golden amount of wine, like it was a glass and a half or something like that. And then if you had any more, disastrous. Any less, didn't really do anything. Oh dear. Free your minds, guys. Let's have a fearless debate in the comments section here. I'm sorry that I don't have any answers for you. I just think it's an interesting and really, I don't know, it's a really dangerous area to tread in. So let's be careful, but use the comments. Cheers, guys. Something's just occurred to me. What if we're looking at this upside down? Maybe it isn't the drugs that are making these people creative. Maybe these are the greatest artists, you know, the greatest artists that we have at our disposal as human beings. These are the people that are tormented, they're the most tormented, aren't they? They have longing, anguish, and just all that inner turmoil. And maybe the drugs, they're not using the drugs to be creative, they're using the drugs to quiet these voices and to self-medicate. I mean, I'm not talking about mental illness per se, but I'm just saying, being creative, maybe that's the thing that takes the toll, and the drugs is what they use to sate that, make them feel better. Something to think about, isn't it? So it's not, you don't have to take drugs to be creative. You're already creative. The drugs is what you use to get through it. Use the comment section below. What do you think? Something to think about? Yeah, definitely. Nice one. Justin Hawkins writes again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and watch one of these 2 videos. Lots of love to you guys. Look after yourselves and basically don't do drugs. All right.